the Black Panther of Nigeria, aka the villain of truth, aka subscribe, because if you're not getting anything right now, you most likely will be getting a lot from me. What are my episodes about? Was this channel about? The channel is all about exchanging ideas, having deeper discussions, debating, bringing the best information, exposing fraudulent organizations and fraudulent individuals. Also about putting out news and learning how to think logically and have and enlighten a lot of people on the things that they need to know. And at the same frequency, I also learn from others what to do and what not to do. I use this also opportunity to expand my own awareness in life. Welcome for those who are just joining me. Welcome to the Man of Thought. If you're just joining me, please, you can indicate, you can like, or you can also tell me what the discussion is all about. Maybe you don't necessarily need to do it because the discussion is basically that I want to learn something about the United States and the United Kingdom. And based of that, we are going to be having more discussions on things. Currently, as I speak, I think Donald Trump is trying to take this time to make out some time for us to have kind of discussions based of whatever we're thinking. Who the truth? Thank you very much. Welcome, my brother. Good evening, bro. Yeah, good evening, sir. I would have loved to, today I didn't come up with different things that I want to talk about. I have a book, a paper that I mostly go through whenever I want to have discussions with you guys. And we touched about different things about why men change in marriage yesterday. But today I just want to take your mind, whatever discussion you would like to have. I will be open to the idea of having conversations with us based of what you think. In fact, I'm willing to learn right now. So thank you all for joining me. Who the truth was with me this afternoon while I was on live, and I think you contributed a lot. Am I right, sir? Please, if you're just joining, do subscribe to the channel and do like. Any question, all right. Because I could remember the conversation. There are a lot of people on that conversation this evening, or this noon, sorry, in the noontime. Who the truth? You most likely will be a Nigerian, right? Or are you not? Yeah, I'm doing great. Alex Hunter says Wagwan. Oh, I'm cool. And it was an amazing conversation. Yeah, true, it was an amazing conversation. I really just want to be here to have few discussions with us and let's just, reason together. Kraga is just joining me right now. Kraga, you better subscribe to my channel. You say, where am I from? I'm from Nigeria. Yes, so I am a proud Nigerian. Great. I'm not going to be saying your name today, but you're welcome. Dots for um, as Ashit Vlog says that which country do you live? I live in Nigeria. Trust me. What's the time? I think our time here is about 8:56 p.m. That's the time here. If we have anything we are thinking about, or any conversation you want to have, we can start a dialogue with this particular platform. Kagra says Lagos. No, I'm not in Lagos. I'm in Ogun State. I used to reside in Lagos. A lot of texts are coming in. Low, many, Lanido, you speak. Can you speak Turkish? No, I can't. Is weed legal in Nigeria? It is not, but kind of. in certain sense. It is not legal, but people take it, and the cops don't really go after people who actually take weed in Nigeria. No, the cop ain't even interested if you're taking weed, except they want to extort you most times, or you have actually committed a different crime, and then they come after you using the weed as an excuse also. Lagos living in, okay, English or Spanish? English. Subscriber, thank you for subscribing. Please, I would love us to get to almost maybe 270 subscribers if we can. I would appreciate it. English or Spanish? English for me. No, I can't read whatever you write there. Alex Onta is asking, is drug illegal in Nigeria if you bribe the police? Is drug illegal if you bribe the police? Um, no, drug is illegal in every country, I think. I might be wrong, but in most countries, many drugs are illegal. Now, I think that when it comes to the aspect of the United States, they've approved weed for them. But when it comes to Nigeria, we don't still have the liberty to take weed, but people do take weed. There's weed everywhere. So it doesn't stop us. But when you talk about bribing the police and the rest of it, you have to be in Nigeria to experience few things, and bribing can be part of some things, but we have certain people who would not receive bribe, Nigerian police force who would not receive bribe, but some of them will. And so that's, I think it's almost in every country, but I could be wrong. Correct me if I am. How many languages do you speak? I speak about three language. Yeah, that's what I speak. Thanks, bro, for the info. Have you always been living there? Yes, sir. I've always been here. I am from India. That's the person who just wrote that question is Guespe Gagiolo. Okay. Ashit Vlogs is say I am from India and the time is one night. Okay. 1:27 a.m. No. Turkish says no, don't reply those who ask English or Spanish. Okay, maybe I'm learning something. Anti Like Bear says, hello, I'm new. Please do subscribe to my channel, Anti Like Beggars. Who the truth says, is weed really bad? What are the advantage and disadvantage of weed? Wow. I'm going to speak from my experience, and I might not speak from every other person's experience. I think that at some point I used to take weed. And I will tell you what I experienced during the time I take weed. But based off your question, you're asking, is weed really bad? What are the advantage and disadvantage of weed? I think the advantage of weed is that it depends on your system. We are built differently. And so if we even get to a position where we say that weed is legal, then we have to ask ourselves, who are the people who are qualified to take weed? Because certain people might take weed and it's going to work negatively to their system, and certain people might take weed and it will work positively to their system. There are a lot of science that can prove that. On the other hand, it resonates with a lot of people more than what the government think. In fact, there are these drugs they call DMT, ayahuasca, and the rest of it. These are the things that are mostly being implemented when we want to talk about the raising of consciousness of a lot of people. But it gets to a particular point that the government do not want people to be conscious of different things, maybe because these people are not going to work out, or you cannot manipulate certain people who are conscious. For example, let us put it this way. If I have 500,000 in my account and I can take good care of a lot of people, and I have certain money, I have few things in my life that can take care of my family, you most likely cannot fool me with too many money. And for example, let us look at the lives of people like Baba Fela. Let's look at the life of people like Bob Marley. Let's look at the life of people like Lucky Dube. Let's look at all these Rastafarians and even Afrobeat musicians. These people take weed. One of the things you are going to observe is when people have certain kind of consciousness, you cannot trick them with money, because plant itself raise certain consciousness in people. Now it can ruin certain people's life if it doesn't work with their system. Now, and trust me on this, I am not a professional to give you the best advice. I'm just telling you based off what I know, and you can make more research on it. So what I'm saying is this: when people take ayahuasca or DMT, they are not motivated towards the material ways of seeing things. They are more interested in the spiritual balance with the physical. But because if you disconnect yourself from the root where you came from, which is simply means that the plants that God has given to us is part of our use, and this is to raise some of our consciousness. But if you hide those things away from us, then we kind of see things in one particular way. We are not seeing things in multiple dimensions. And that's why today a lot of people are mostly materialistic. So their consciousness is based off what they can see. And then at the end of the day, they become addictive to something else. And that's why you can see that there are more drugs, there are more alcohol, there are more of all these things. If there was weed, a lot of people could use weed to raise their consciousness to different level. Now, excessive of anything is bad. Trust me, excessive of anything is bad, but what I'm saying is that it can be useful, but I think there is a psyop to make sure that they stop people from taking all these kind of things to raise their consciousness so that the government and the political people can have power over the set of people. That's only what I know. I may not have a lot of information, but I give you the information I know. Who the truth is not bad, just don't smoke a lot of it if you are very, very young. True. It also determines the age. You must be able to. That's why I say it has to work with your system. Certain people, it doesn't work for them. It makes you very lazy, but it's not harmful or dangerous. 1,000,000%. I agree completely with Giuseppe Gagiolo, because exactly the same thing. That's the reason why I stepped away from weed. I was writing a lot of books. I was doing a lot of things, but at some point I realized I wasn't physically active at some point. So I had to step away from the weed so I can become more physically active. That's true completely. Hot sauce. Oh, hot sauce. Welcome. Says bruh. Welcome, Otus. Who the truth says that the reason why I ask is because I get to understand that the Jamaicans see weed as a source of inspiration. You're correct. In order to connect to the higher realm. Other words, if you are bad, it makes it exposed. Yeah, it exposes a lot of things about you, and then you have to correct a lot of things. On that, that's true. The enlightened one says that when you water fasts for 40 days, you will connect to a higher power and hear directly from the transcendent. The entities you hear from when you take Ayusha is not divine. Trust me. Bro, you took meth or coke. You can think about anything you like to think. For me, I just finished taking pepper soup. Do you know what it's called, pepper soup? That's nishant. I just finished eating pepper soup and yam and some chickens. So that's the reason. I felt like sleeping, but I was like, oh, let me come on live and no, bro, I'm asking you. Yeah, I think I just told you right now. So according to what the enlightened one says, the enlightened one says that when you water fast for 40 days, you will connect to a higher power and hear directly from the transcendent. Now, I would say this, the enlightened one, I most likely would agree with you on a part, and I may disagree with you on some part. And the reason is that you most likely may know one part of life and you might not, if you haven't crossed to the other side, you wouldn't know what is there. It's just like, for example, a lot of us may have much understanding about the corruption of Nigeria until you're in Nigeria, then you understand a lot of things. Some of us may think that, oh, you understand how the prison life is until you get to prison, then you understand how prison actually operates. So if you have not water fast for a long time and you have done the water fasting, the question is, have you also taken weeds? Now, if you have taken weeds, you need to also understand that your experience is always going to be different from other people's experience. For example, let us talk about this individual, one of the highest podcasters in the world called Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan is spelled Joe space Rogan. I believe a lot of people here would have heard of Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan talks about DMT, ayahuasca, and he also takes weed. In fact, he will tell you he's an addict when it comes to weed. But this particular soul is one of the purest, most intelligent individual you can have conversation with. Now, there's an history when it comes to the weed. Sometimes when people ask me a few questions, I just want to answer it on the surface level based off what I think that will make the conversation proceed. I don't want to go on a deeper level. Now, if we go towards the aspect of the religious people, they always talk about these people taking ayahuasca in the past, in the religious belief, in the early time of religious belief, that people take ayahuasca and DMT. Now, science have proven this when they have the veil that Christ's cup was from, and they realize that that cup has the dent of ayahuasca. And when you take ayahuasca, for example, it transcends you to be able to communicate with different things. Now, the same way is the weed. I want you to also understand that almost everything that is being created on earth is created by God, and all of them have their purpose. And God deliberately created us to be different. Maybe I wouldn't use the word God. I would say nature makes certain things different about us. The reason why we are black as people is basically because of the sun that shines on us. An average black man has a lot of vitamin D on their body. So if you go to people who are living in other countries who don't have the same sun that we experience, they most likely would have less of vitamin D in their body. And that's the reason why a lot of them buy these drugs they call D3, they call it supplement, to increase maybe their testosterone level and the rest of it. Now, what am I going? If you ask of the most physical dominant people on the surface of this earth, most likely a lot of people will agree that it is the black people. Some people may have different opinion and they tell you maybe it is the Russian or the rest of it, but a lot of people will agree that it's the black people. If you take out the sun from us, we are going to act differently. So what I mean is this: there are certain people that the weed work perfectly well for, and in fact, they get a lot of inspiration when they take weeds. And ask yourself, somebody like Baba Fela, the enlightened one, you can ask yourself about someone like Baba Fela, you can ask yourself about someone like Bob Marley, you can ask yourself question about maybe Majek Fashek and the rest of it. When these people used to take weed, I'm not talking about when they become so addicted like the Majek Fashek type. But when you look at Bob Marley and the rest of it, these people take weed. And if these people take weed, what was their life like and how were they able to inspire the world with their music? Would you have said, if you have asked them to fast for 40 days water fasting, they might not, their system might not be so inclined. But I can tell you, I understand what you mean when you say water fasting, because water fasting simply means when you empty your tummy and you are not feeding yourself, because food itself makes you weak. Those of us who are not conscious, food makes us weak. But when you empty your system, sometimes you will be able to have a lot of energy inside of you, and you might be able to tap into other dimensions. For example, someone may ask me, why is my eyes a little bit red? Now, before I started this episode, I did a lot of breathing work or breath work, even after I finished eating. And my breath work is like I breathe in, and when I do this over and over again, about maybe 40 or 50 times, and when I come back to life, maybe I put on my YouTube channel, you're going to see that my eyes is red. And some people might think, oh, maybe this guy is taking something. But because of that breath work, it allows blood to flow to my brain, to maybe the necessary areas in my body, and then it takes every anxiety, every thought that I am having initially before I come to life, it takes all those thoughts away. But sometimes I do not have to overfeed myself, because when I overfeed myself, it dulls my brain in a certain areas of life. So everybody's system work differently, and that's only what I can say. So I don't while away a lot of time on this conversation. Queen Gold was laughing. No, bro, I'm asking you. Okay, I told you earlier. Any other question, please? You can keep bringing your question in. Let me change this stuff. Okay. The enlightened one says, okay, Nishan says, I'm not telling you that you are on drugs. Okay, okay. Sorry about that. Sorry, bro. I was just asking. No, I wasn't. Enlightened one says, bro, I live in LA. LA simply means Los Angeles, right? I know drugs. Yeah. It's free. Yeah. My neighbors just give it out. Wow. Hey, enlightened, you have taken, okay, this is from Nishan. They say, hey, enlightened, you have taken some sort of drugs in your life. It says, yes. Oh, bro, which kind? Can you please tell me price? Yeah, in India, the price of meth. It's mushroom, weed, DMT. These are the words of enlightened ones. And trust me, that means you already understand what I was talking about. So, enlightened one, I think you can grasp everything I've narrated earlier. Nishan says, I can't even explain. I have to spend huge in this shit. Sorry about that, Nishant. Enlightened one said, none helps better than fasting for me. Fasting, what is fasting, bro? Enlightened one, what is fasting? Abstaining from food for 40 days. Just drink water. Bro. So, bro, instead of that, start taking. You guys are really funny over here. Bro, is there any question you want to ask that we can have good discussion on? But I enjoy what fasting and Nishan are talking about, but it's just that due to the YouTube policy, there are a few things I can't even read out. Bro, I'm muscle building. So, okay, Nishant is a builder. It may be a bodybuilder in a sense. So, sorry I can't try fasting. Okay, bro, I will tell you the better methods of meditation. Enlightened one say water fasting for 40 days, remain retention for 8 months, and you would hear voices. How to interpret the voice. Mikhail Mushintin asks how to interpret the voice of God. Um, I'm going to work on that. I'm going to touch on that. How, and he said, bro, I can suggest you some meditation techniques. I want to talk about the semen retention. I want to talk about what Mikhail Mushintin spoke about also. And for me to just touch on it, how do you interpret the voice of God? Maybe I just touch on that first. To interpret the voice of God, all you have to do is that you listen to the voice that is pure in a sense. And how do you even know the voice that is actually speaking to you? I think what you have to do is to know yourself very well, know your intentions, and know where your heart is. The greatest book you are going to study as a human being on the surface of this earth is not the one you read, but the one within yourself. If you know yourself, you know your weakness, and you admit and you know everything about you, I think you're one of the most intelligent human beings on the surface of this earth. So with that, you can be able to distinguish the voices that are negative inside of you that propel you to do something that is negative, and then you know the voices that propel you to do things that are positive. I always tell people this, that sometimes a lot of us are, sometimes you hear the voice of your ancestors speaking through you, and you think that is the voice of God. The voice of your ancestors tell you things to do to raise your family, to make sure your family do well in certain areas. I really don't want to dive into all this kind of stuff, but you also can hear certain negative voices, and then you can understand certain positive voices. The only thing you have to do is, what is your intention as a person? What do you have in mind? And what are you willing to do to others? Now, You have to put yourself in the right mind to have the right voice speak to you. In a sense, like what the enlightened one says earlier when he says fasting for 40 days and 40 nights, or fasting with water for 40 days, for example. Now, your body cannot be empty, and you can have the divine spirit within you, and then you start thinking of hurting other people. No. Every voice that comes to you right then, you could be tempted. I'm not saying you're not going to face temptation, but I tell you that most of the voice you are going to hear is the voice of clarity for you to do things to enhance the consciousness of other people. Only something that is going to help other people rather than the thing that is going to take a lot away from others. And when you are listening to a voice that is like, I want to impact not just me, but every other person around me, that could be the voice of God. But when something sounds inside of you and that thing is kind of greedy and stingy and it wants everything to yourself, that most likely might not be the voice of God. So that is for that. Water fasting for 40 days, semen retention, all the things that the enlightened one says, I think they are very important. Semen retention and the rest of it. And you would hear voices. Yeah, you're definitely going to hear voices. You're right. You're going to hear voices. And men, the society has kind of set us to be weak as people. And because when we become so strong as men, maybe the society would not have the opportunity to manipulate us as much as they do today. And that's the reason why they throw actual things to us every time. That's why they want to weaken the spirit of the man and the rest of it. But a lot of us have actually fallen for this system and we think it is normal. So I will leave that and I say I can suggest some meditation techniques. I have many meditation techniques that I use, but I am open to any other ideas. I can still learn more. I think it is an opportunity for me to dialogue with you guys and grow with myself, and I think you guys learn other things. The enlightened one says that it's the voice that calls you to action and responsibility. That's the definition of Jordan B. Peterson. It is a voice that calls you to action and responsibility. That's the definition Jordan B. Peterson most likely gives also. He said it's the voice that calls you into the wilderness and makes a covenant with you. It's the voice that warns you about the coming storm. You're right. Who the truth says that, do you think the demolition of Bell during the 90s added a very negative impact on humanity consciousness? I would say I don't know. I would say I don't know really. And for me, when I am here, right, talking to you guys, I'm not here to pretend I know what I don't know. Whatever I have information on, I'm going to share it with you guys. And when you say the ringing of the bell, I think that even in today's world, we can still tap to the spirit of consciousness. We can still increase our consciousness. The problem we have today is that there are too many distractions that wouldn't want to make you go within, but rather to just see things in the physical way. And in fact, they have created the education system, they've created religious system, they've created cultural system, traditional system, and society at large is just to chase things that are in the physical world or the material world. They most likely don't teach us how to go within. And if you look at the Indians, for example, a lot of Indians, they still have the opportunity to learn more about meditation and the rest of it. And in that way, they can help to raise the consciousness of those of us who are not even in India, but we can learn it through watching them on live or online. So I don't know if a bell can have an effect on humanity as a whole, or if it is just a way to change few things. But I think that at the end of the day, we have the ability to rewrite things. So let us forget it. Most times, let us not pour more attention on what have been done to us in the past. Let us focus more on what we can do at this moment to make sure the future is better. And that's to raise our consciousness as people. Nishan says some sort of tantra and mantra. From India. Oh, Nishant is from India. But why would you now say you need some of those stuff from another person or so? It will help you to reach higher self. Nishant said one drunk man is more intelligent than three women with PhD. Nishant. Oh, the enlightened one deleted one of his messages. He said it's the voice that called Abraham and told him to leave his father's house and go into the wilderness, made a covenant with him and rewarded him for his obedience. I agree with you according to the religious perspective. I agree with you according to the religious perspective. The reason why I say religious perspective is that yes, according to the religion, these are the history that has been are being recorded. And we need to ask ourselves, we understand that Abraham told Ishmael and Isaac these stories, and this Isaac actually told his children this particular story, which was Jacob and Esau, and Jacob told his children, which Joseph was part of it, and he told them the same story, but they never experienced it unless Abraham. So when it comes to the aspect of the religious perspective, these same voices calls on every single one who has conscience inside of them. And I think there's always a voice there. There's always the voice of God in everyone's life. The problem is that we have too many distractions, like I earlier said, and that distraction is what is making us not to even listen to that voice. It's just like this voice is here. The moment you're making decisions to listen to it, it will be there for you. But our decisions as human or our distractions has taken us far away from listening to the voice. Mika- Mikhail Musintin says food is a big issue with our rising. You're right completely. CC Motion 1998 says the education system has failed due to the restrictions that are implemented on the foundation of a proper education. What can let us ask ourselves a question? If anyone also have if any one of us might have an understanding, and maybe we can share it among ourselves, what is really a proper education? A proper education, in my own definition, would have been that you nurture things so that they just grow in the right way. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. Rather than enforcing people to act in a specific kind of way, because when you're asking people to act in a specific kind of way, then that is indoctrination, not education. So proper education. I love one thing. I think some of us who, for those who have been talking about meditation, you most likely would have heard of a man called Sadhguru. And Sadhguru will tell you a few things about how he raised his child and the rest of it. Children are what you nurture. It's not what you just tell them. You train them in a particular way. Yes, they understand the principles that governs your life. Yes, they need to have certain disciplines in life, but you are not to enforce a lot of things on them, but rather to let them flourish, and you'll help them, shape them to blossom in the right way, whatever they are. If a child is a musician, what you're supposed to do is to help that child to be a better musician, rather than us putting education and saying if you did not get your mathematics, you are a failure. And that is what our education system is like, to make everyone think in one particular way. And if we all think in one particular way, we most likely think in the way that is suitable for the politicians and for the government, not for the individual or society at large. The enlightened one says, I pray each human being an encounter with the transcendent. Amen. I agree with you. Who the truth? Your question is coming in. Enlightened one says, do not let schooling take away from your education. That's a better way of putting it. Do not let schooling take away from your education. You're absolutely right. Who the truth said he had a question. He said, are we eating the food that we should eat as human beings? Because if you take a look at the animals, the gorilla don't eat what the lions eat. So does that give us an insight on our part as humans? Wow, who the truth has been asking himself some kind of deep questions. I wouldn't want to be the only person to give an answer to what the who the truth is saying, but I think anyone who have insight also should share part of it. Now, for who the truth, I will tell you what I think. You see, I think there's a problem with these people attacking traditions and and culture just to make all of us fall in line with certain things. And if you look at the agenda looks like it's been designed specifically to make us think in one particular direction. Now, in every culture, I think food itself, whatever you use in raising a child, becomes part of them. And for example, if you have a dog that eats various kind of food, that dog may most likely develop diarrhea. And if you ask ourselves as human beings, why do we develop a lot of sickness? It's basically because we have too many change of diets. Some people may not even pay attention to it, but too many change of diet is part of the issues we have as humans today. And most likely, most of the diet we have today in today's world are not organic. Then most of it, you are going to see a lot of artificial stuff. So every time you are under chemical, our emotions look like things that are chemical, but whenever a pharmaceutical organizations are actually giving us chemicals to take, they are giving us a chemical that most likely might make us feel better, but at the end of the day, we would need that chemical some other time. For example, in Nigeria, when we used to fall sick, we have what we call roots, and there are roots and herbs that we can take that will fix the problem that you have. And when you take a root and herb, which is you're taking the natural healing trees and the plants that you need in your life, you can never get addicted to it. I have never heard that someone is addicted to vegetable. Now, someone might say, I am a vegan. That means I don't eat meat. But there's no one who will tell you that I am addicted to vegetable. No one will tell you that I'm addicted to eating meat. But it is the combination of mixing too many things together or producing food that are meant to be chemical. And when you are used to eating food that are built with chemical, then you begin to have a lot of issues as people. So I think humans, we are not supposed to be changing as much as our diet. But the world today, if you're eating one particular food, the world will tell you, oh, you don't know what's going on. And because a lot of people are trying to fit into the society, then they want to do what other people are doing. And that's why we all get into the kind of mess that we get into. That's only what I understand. Someone else might be giving their own insight. The enlightened one says, I agree with who the truth. It says, I think our genetics should determine our food intake. You're absolutely correct. Certain good food grows in certain parts of the world for specific reasons. What we should eat in the winter should be different from the summer. Enlightened one. Amazing. 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 Um, I would have loved you to write to me. I think I love your insight, your perspective. Maybe if you're a chance, we can always sometimes have discussion. We can just be live. I can share you a link and then we come live and we have a deeper discussion. Do you think you'll be open to that, or you have a very tight schedule, or a lot of people don't like coming up on YouTube and the rest of it? Will you be open to that idea? Because everything you just touched on right now, I could have looked into it, but I was like, I'm open, bro. Oh, nice one. This is what you're going to do, please. If you have a WhatsApp, I want you to go to my about page, and I'm going to be putting out my number out there. My number is already on my page, but I would still call it out for you. If you can type it, please do. Maybe I give you a few minutes to just have maybe a pen. I'm going to give you my Nigerian number. I'm in Nigeria. So you can just chat me on WhatsApp, and then we can specify day that you can be open so we can come live and we can have good discussion. I would love to hear more insights with you so you can really enlighten a lot of people, because you perfected the question of who the truth. So can I call my let me call my number for you. My number is 080 4753. Is 080 If you are in any other country and you want to chat me, you have to have that in 234, because it's the Nigerian number and the rest of it code, sorry. But my real number is 080 61704753. If you have gotten it, please let me know you have gotten it. And any other person can also chat me if you have any question. We can always rub mind on different things. Point fire, what are you saying? Sound waves, frequencies, magnets, and candles. Take off your shoes and socks. Let your feet touch the ground. These are other methods. These are other method. Point fire. These are other methods that you can use in doing a lot of things. You see, we have been so disconnected, and the reason is simply because we mostly focus on materialistic thing, and we do not take ourselves serious as humans anymore. We do not understand the ability of experiencing a lot of things within ourselves. I could remember during the time when I was young and I used to go to school, I don't watch TV. Imagination was my TV. When I was walking during that time, I could imagine. In fact, I walked from my home to my school was about 1 hour 30 minutes or 1 hour 45 minutes. I would imagine while I was walking till I get to my school. When I close, I walk the same way. I had all kinds of imagination, even about my future, about my life, about my children, how everything is going to be like in my entire life. I did that a lot of times for years in my life. And mostly I was able to design my life that way. And when life began to happen to me, that I grew up and I started doing certain things, most of those things I imagined when I was very young, most of those things came true. Many of them, I wouldn't want to say everything, but I would say majority, about 80% of them came true in my life. And I think everyone has the power of imagination, but the problem is that the government will take that away from you through putting the education stuff in your head. And I'm not saying there's something wrong about their intentions for education, but I would say that maybe they have intentions to do good, but they are doing more harm than good, because rather than them to teach children to nourish or to nurture children, rather they want to raise children. And raising a child, you can only raise a cattle, raise other animals to be in a certain ways, to move in certain ways. Humans are things you nurture, and that's where they fail woefully. Point Fire says non-GMO foods. Thailand has amazing seed banks. The Pearl King was a wise and compassionate gentleman. True. Well, I appreciate everyone who has joined me. Please, if you haven't subscribed, do subscribe to the channel. Like and share. Enlightened one, you said you've gotten it. So I would be expecting your message anytime, any day, and so we can have few discussions, and then we talk about certain topics, and then um, we can discuss from there. Thank you, everyone. Love and respect from Toronto. Point Fire, thank you very much. This is the first time I see Point Fire writing. Maybe you have written before and I didn't take note, but this is the first time I'm seeing you. I think you're just joining us. Thank you for joining me on YouTube. Thank you for joining us. I appreciate. I'm not going to be spending much time because I have to go back and I have to relax, do some few things. Thank you everyone for joining me live today. Hope to see you by Friday, and on Saturdays we are going to be having more discussion. Possibly the enlightened one might be joining us live tomorrow. We don't know, but let's just be open. Um, Tomorrow is Friday. Most likely it will be Saturday because on Fridays a lot of people are not mostly on live because people, weekend, and a lot of people want to do a lot of stuff. So let's just see. Ibrahim Kena, for sure. Enlightened one, I see you. Ibrahim Kenan, I think you messaged me something on one of my video that I put out today. Thank you all for sharing your vivid understanding. Thank you, Who the Truth. Point of Fire, my pleasure, sir. Thank you, and best wishes to you and your subs. Thank you very much. I appreciate you. A lot of people are just trooping in right now, but we are rounding up for the day. What up, brother? I'm fine from them. Oh, crazy. How you doing? We've done a lot of discussion today. We have a lot of interesting question from Who the Truth, and we have amazing answers from the Enlightened One. And so I think this individual shook my world, and I'm happy to have this kind of people. Oh, Mary Okafor, welcome. Shalom. Mary Okafor, thanks for joining. We were just rounding up for the day, and you guys are just joining. Um, I'm sorry I didn't put out a notice. I'm really sorry. I had a lot. Do research on Dyson Sphere. Okay, let me screenshot this. Do a lot on Dyson Sphere. Yeah. Noted. Let's have an all-night discussion someday. Yes, we are definitely going to do that. I love to watch your video, bro. Thank you very much, Ibrahim Kene. I'm sorry I never I put a notice out there. So please turn on your notification, subscribe, turn on your notification. One of these days we are going to be having a night live show. And in fact, Who the Truth, you're very good at questions. You most likely would be joining us also. I will be happy to have you all, so we can all rub minds together and ask ourselves and start a sensible conversation rather than talking about beautiful girls and all those kind of stuff. I'm not saying ladies are not beautiful, but let us raise our consciousness to different things and let's ask ourselves few things to improve ourselves. I bro. Oh, no, no, no. A lot of people are coming. So I'm about to relax for the day. Please, if you're just joining, subscribe to the channel, and we are going to be putting out more out there soon. Have a blessed night. It's unfair to those of us who are just joining that you're joining while I'm going off for the day, but I'm really sorry it happened that way today. Next time I'm going to be putting out a notification before I come live. All right, thank you everyone. Peace. Bye bye for now. See you later.